Yesterday we were discussing about the consumer interface. We have completed the consumer interface topic, and so just a quick recap. What is consumer interface? It is a functional interface, and it was introduced in JDK 1.8. Right, so we are discussing about Java 8 futures. So it was introduced in JDK 1.8 version, and it is available in java.util.function package, and it has an abstract method which is what accept method, and this is how the accept method the consumer interface is declared. Okay, and it is extensively used in the what functional programming and stream operations. Okay, and there is one default method called and then method. So this is all about the consumer interface. Today we are going to discuss the another interface, the last interface, which is what? The supplier interface. And the name itself says the supplier interface is going to supply some objects or supply some values. Okay, the name of the interface is supplier interface. So we know that the first 2 points are very common to all the interfaces, predefined interfaces that we have just discussed. Okay, so I can use the same points. It is a functional interface that was introduced in 1.8 version, and the package is also same, right? But the third point, okay, it has the supplier interface as one abstract method, and the name of the method is what? The name of the method is what? The get method. Okay, so what exactly the supplier interface is going to do is, stay focused. Okay, it will be very interesting. You will understand some real-time examples, some classical real-time examples. Okay, the supplier interface, we know, so this is okay, we have two machines. Okay, just imagine that this is a machine. So when I say consumer will consume some data type. We know these things already, because yesterday we had a lot of discussion on top of consumer interface. So it can accept any input type. It consumes some input, or it consumes some data, and I can say that it can accept any input type. Okay, input type can be anything, can be string type, student, object type, employee type, any type. Okay, but it will not return anything. Okay, the concept of returning a value is not applicable for the consumer interface, so it won't return anything. And you can write a processing logic. You can write a processing logic in such a way that it is accepting some input type, and it is not going to return anything, but you have an option to make, to display the values in the console, or you have an option to do the data manipulation. You can process any kind of logic inside this consumer, but it is not going to return anything. And yesterday we were discussing something like information was getting printed in the console. We were using the system.out.println statement, SOP statements, and we were displaying the information. Okay, it consumes, but it will not return anything. But you have an option to write a processing logic in such a way that it is displaying the information in the console. So this is all about consumer. Consumer is using what method? Only one abstract method is there, and that abstract method is what? Accept method. Right, it has an abstract method, and the name of the abstract method is accept method. Right, this accept method will accept some input of t type, and it is not going to return anything. So ideally the return type is going to be what? Void. Void is a return type. Right, so this is all about consumer, and we have discussed yesterday. But when it comes to supplier is just a contradiction to the consumer. It does the same thing in the opposite way. Okay, here in the consumer is going to accept any type of input, any input type, but the supplier will not consume any input type. So there is no concept of accepting any input by the supplier. The supplier ideally will not consume any input, or you cannot pass any input to the supplier. Okay, I'm closing the gate. Okay, you cannot pass any input to the supplier, but it can produce a return type. That is the magic here. Okay, consumer on the one end, it is going to consume the data, but it will not return anything. But the supplier, it will not consume any data, but it will supply something to you in the form of return objects, in the form of return statement. Are you getting it? Okay, so ideally it will not consume anything, but it will supply something to the end user, right? That's why the name itself is called as what? The supplier, which means just the opposite to the consumer. Consumer accepts something, it will not give any return value, whereas the consumer accepts something, but supplier will not accept anything, but it will ideally return something to the end user. Okay, that is, we have to talk about what it returns something. It can return any data type, any data. And here what we have to do here is, you need to write the processing logic in such a way that it is returning something to the end user. Processing logic, okay, without consuming anything, okay, without accepting any input, it is going to return something to the end user. That's why it is called as what? Supplier. The name itself says the supplier. R is talking about the return type, no input type, but it returns something. But here T is talking about the input type. Here R is talking about what? R is talking about the return type, T is talking about the input type. Input. Ideally R is talking about the return type, return value or return type. So there is one abstract method inside the supplier. That abstract method is called as what? The get method. Okay, get method will not accept any parameter, but it is going to return something. That's why the type is what? R. So this is how you can visualize the differences between the consumer and the supplier. You will see few examples, okay, to understand much better about the supplier topic, supplier interface. Okay, the first example, meanwhile let me open this online editor. So I want to write a small Java program. Okay, what I want to do, I want to write a Java program to do what? I want to do something. So write a supplier to supply the system date. So in every system, okay, and every system is going to record the date, right? Date and time will be recorded automatically by the system. Okay, I want to write a supplier which is going to supply the system date. Okay, how I can achieve that? By using the supplier. How can we achieve that? By using the supplier? Very simple. So supplier is an interface. I can directly write a lambda expression like supplier, okay, and the return type is date. We want to get the date from the system. We want to get what? We want to get the date from the system, the current system date, right? So the return type is date. So we are going to get what? We are going to get the date from the system, right? And I'm using the variable name as D, okay, and I'm just giving the new date. Okay, I'm creating an object for the date class. The moment I do this, okay, the current system date will be returned to the supplier, and you can use that, so you can utilize that according to the requirements. You can utilize that what? You can utilize that according to the requirements, right? So let me write a program on this, on top of this. Okay, my Eclipse is still opening. Let us give it some time. Okay, so this is what I want to do, supplier. Okay, so the processing logic should be written in such a way that it is going to return the system date. System date. The moment you invoke the supplier, okay, the supplier will return you the system date and time, current system date and time. Okay, let's wait for this to be launched. It's taking some time. Okay, meanwhile let me write the code for this. How can I write the code? Supplier. Supplier is an interface. So the generic type is what? The generic type is the return type. So return type is what? The date type. D equal to new date. Okay, so new date. So new date in the sense we are going to use the lambda expression. Okay, this is the lambda expression, and you have the parentheses because supplier will not accept any input. That's why the parentheses should be left empty, followed by the arrow token. and after the arrow token you are just creating a date object, right? So the moment you do this, okay, the moment you do this, let's see what will happen behind the scenes. Okay, let me remove all this. These are the yesterday's program. We do not want this. Okay, let me remove this as well. Not required. You have only the driver class. Inside the driver class I am writing a supplier. Okay, supplier, I want to import it because it is available in java.util.function package. So it has been imported, and date is a class which is available in java.util package. Imported. Now see what is happening. Okay, so this is the typical lambda expression by using the supplier, right? And what I have just mentioned now, I have mentioned that supplier will not accept any input. It will not accept any input, right? That's why this is empty. This parenthesis is empty. You're not passing any values, but it is going to return something. What you want to return? I mean, how the processing logic is written here. Okay, it is going to return the current system date and time. Okay, just by giving the new date, you will get the current system date and time. How you are going to get? Use this reference variable dot use the get method. If the moment you do this and the moment you get the run button, right, you will get the current system date and time. Okay, Thursday, September 5, something like this. Okay, the more you do this, if you keep doing this for many number of times, right, you are going to get the current date and time. Since Java is very fast, there is no difference in the seconds also, right? So if you like keep some time and you can see the variation because it is very fast. All these things are getting implemented in even without considering the seconds. Are 1 second is a very large thing for Java. Everything will get operated in the nanoseconds, right? And if you do this, it's giving the date and time. So what is happening behind the scenes? This is a processing logic, and you are placing this processing logic inside where? Inside the supplier, exactly here. Okay, and the moment you invoke the get method, the moment you call the get method, okay, this processing logic will be invoked and the current system date and time will get returned to the console, right? And this will be returned to the console. So you are not giving anything. Okay, you are just writing a processing logic. That processing logic is giving what? Is giving you the system date and time. This is what it is giving you. Okay, ideally you are not passing any input, but you are writing something as the processing logic. That processing logic is returning the system date and time, which is what we are seeing it here. Right? It supplies. Name itself says supplier. It is supplying. This one example. Okay, what is this example? This is the one example. Now my second example is, okay, see, now this example will be very realistic, not much realistic, but I want to write a program. Focus here. I want to write a program to get a random name using supplier. I will tell you a small story. So when I was living in Hyderabad, okay, I was almost there for 3 years. I was taking coaching I was preparing for IAS. Unfortunately, I was not able to give my 100%, so I dropped that plan. But I was taking coaching. I was staying in a room in Hyderabad. In my room, along with me, okay, there are 4 occupants along with me. This is my Hyderabad room. Okay, this is how my room looks like. Okay, so this is me, and along with me, we have I have 3 other friends. Okay, and no one has cracked IAS. Everyone has just given a try, right? 4 members are there. So we are the occupants, 4 members. This is my room. Okay, always what happens is when you are maintaining a bachelor room, and that room needs to be cleaned very often, but the bachelors, they don't clean the room, right? So the room gets messy. Okay? So you cannot read in a messy room, you cannot read in a dirty room. Okay, it needs to get cleaned very often. But the question comes, okay, so when we were like sharing a piece of room, okay, always the question comes, who has to clean the room? Okay, who has to today? Whose turn is today? Whose turn is tomorrow? Like that. Okay, so in order to do that, okay, there sometimes there will be some kind of arguments over cleaning the room. So I don't accept, and my friends won't accept. Okay, so we cannot, figure out so that the room will be left uncleaned forever. Right now, everyone has their own attitude. Okay, they if I say someone to clean the room, they that someone will not accept. You will ask me to do the same. I will direct some other one. That some other will direct some other one. So literally, the room will be uncleaned and it will be messy forever. In order to solve this, okay, we can solve this problem by using the supplier. What? By using what? By using the supplier who needs to clean the room. And how can we solve this problem? By using this supplier will generate the random names, random roommates, name of the roommates. If you invoke the supplier, it is going to it is going to do what? It is going to select a random person. It could be me, or it could be my friend, or it could be some other one. One random person will be selected. Okay, now this person has to clean the room. Tomorrow, if I invoke the same supplier, it will generate the name of the another random person. This person is to clean the room. Again, day after tomorrow, another random person clean the room. How I can achieve this by using supplier? Right? Can we write a program for that? Right. So what I want to do, I want to write a program to get a random name using supplier. Right. What I am doing is, so string, I am taking the name of my roommates. Okay. Let us take some the roommate's name as Ramesh. Okay. Occupants Ramesh, Suresh, and Vignesh and Mukesh. So there are 4 occupants, so 4 random names. So let us say that these persons are sharing the same room, bachelors. So what we are writing, we are writing a program so that the program will select a random person name. That random person has to clean the room for the day. For understanding my question, right? So these are the persons that I have stored in the roommates variable name. Okay, so for good, then what I want to do, I want to write a supplier. This what supplier has to do what? It has to give us the information. It has to generate what? It has to give us the information of what? Some random name. Isn't it? So these names are in the form of string. So it is going to produce a string. It is going to supply a string, which is a name itself. Right? And let me take the variable name as S. Okay, the lambda expression, it is not going to accept any input, but it will supply the output. Okay, lambda expression followed by the arrow token followed by the body of the lambda expression. So inside the body of the lambda expression, I am writing a logic. I am trying to build a logic. Okay. My logic is I want to get a random number. I want to generate a random number. I want to store that number inside this variable X. In Java, to generate a random number, there is a predefined class and the predefined method. Name of the predefined class is math, and the name of the predefined method is random. Okay, now focus here. This math is not random. Okay, let me go to the main screen. Focus here. So this is the class name and the method name. What is the class name? Math is the class name. And what is the method name? Random is the method name. Okay. So the combination of this class and the method name is going to generate a random number, but that number is going to be between 0. Is going to be, it could be 0, or the number is going to be between 0 to 0.99. Ideally, if you invoke this operation, it will generate a random number. That number will fall between, it could be 0, minimum number could be 0, and at most the maximum number could be what? 0.99. Okay, the moment you use this, it will generate some random number between 0 to 0.99, but it cannot be 1. Right? But what I want here is, now see how many persons we have inside the room. You have Ramesh, you have Mukesh, and you have what? You have some persons. 1 minute, guys. Yeah. So you have Ramesh, you have Mukesh, you have Vignesh, and you have Suresh. These are the persons, isn't it? Ramesh, Suresh, Vignesh, and Mukesh. Okay. This is going to generate a number that falls between 0 to 0.99. But I want I know. So if you look at this string array, focus here. If you look at this string array, so there are 4 names here. Always the indexing will start from 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I want to write a logic so that the number that is going to get generated should fall between 0, 1, 2, 3. What I'm trying to do is, so I am just multiplying the number that is generated by this logic with 4. If I do this, now focus here. If I do this, if I just multiply the processing logic with the number 4, okay, so the maximum number, the minimum number could be 0, right? But the maximum number will fall, would be like something around 3 point something, right? 0.9 into 4, how much is it? 3.6 something like that, right? 3.66. Right, this is what I get. So 0 to 3.6. Okay, I am going to round this off. I am going to round this off by using, I am going to consider only the integers. So I will perform a kind of typecasting here. Okay, this logic, okay, and I will typecast this logic with integer. Okay, the floating point values will be typecasted to an integer that will be stored in the X. Every time a random number gets generated, guys, it could be something like 1.2, it could be anything between 0 to 0.99. Again, I am multiplying that generated number with 4 so that the number that I could see in the console, what are the numbers, the possible numbers that will be generated? 0, 1, 2, 3, that's it. These 4 numbers are the possible numbers that could be generated by this particular logic. Right, because I am typecasting the entire conversion to the integer so that only these 4 possible values could be generated. First time it could be 2, second time it could be 1, third time it could be anything. It could be anything. You cannot even guess this. These are the system things. After this, I am returning what? I am going to return roommates, comma x. I'm going to return roommates, comma x. Roommates is what? String array, and x. For example, if it is generating 2, okay, here 2 will be passed. 2 is going to be Vignesh. If it is generating 3, here 3 will be passed. 3 is going to be Mukesh. This is the processing logic to generate the random names. Okay, now what I want to do to make to ensure that this is a little bit little bit communicating from the end user, I can say that please enter C to check who needs to clean your room today, right? And I want to take a scanner class to accept the input from the end user. Scanner sc equal to new scanner. Okay, this scanner is going to have an argument called system.in. Okay, I am just storing that in string str equal to sc dot next. Right, I'm just giving the information of the console. After this, I'm having a statement something like today it's okay. I'm using this supplier reference variable name s dot get method. So get method is going to process the logic inside the supplier. What is the logic inside the supplier? To generate the random name, right? Today it's the random name that is going to get generated by the supplier. So on to clean the room. So now problem is resolved. And if I run this code, please enter C to check who needs to clean your room today. Okay, I'm entering C. Okay, today it's Ramesh's turn to clean the room. Done. Next time, please enter the C to check who needs to clean the room. Today it's Vignesh's turn to clean the room. Right? Again enter. Please enter C who needs to clean the room. That's Suresh's turn to clean the room. Okay, it is generating a random number between 1, 2, 3. What time I am utilizing this random number and I am connecting this random number to extract the information that is placed inside this string array. This example is making little sense, isn't it? Okay, we will see the another example to understand the importance of the consumer. Okay, my third example is going to be, right? So I want to generate an OTP. See, you get a lot of OTPs, right? OTPs are very secure to complete the authentication, right? It is very important to make the blank transaction. To achieve the second level security, they have introduced the OTPs. Again, the OTPs, even the bank employees, no one knows how the numbers are getting generated randomly. And they have preferred to choose the 6-digit OTP so that the security cannot be breached very easily. Even the AS cannot breach the security because no one knows the algorithm inside how the numbers are getting generated randomly. I want to understand. There are a lot of ways to generate OTPs, but I want to use the supplier to generate a OTP, bank OTP. I want to do what? Please write a supplier to generate or to supply a 6-digit OTP. Shall we do? I want to write a supplier to generate what? 6-digit OTP. Right? So generating the 6-digit OTP is not a big task actually. Right? So how I can generate the 6-digit OTP? Very simple. Very simple. Let me go back to the main screen. So I want to generate how many OTP? 6-digit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6-digit numbers I want to generate. Right? So what I want to do, I can utilize this math.random class. Math.random. This math.random. Okay, so first understand this. OTP contains numbers between 0 to 9. So no, the numbers should be between 0 to 9. Okay, I want to use all the combinations between 0 to 9 to generate 6-digit OTP. Right? So Java is giving me the inbuilt class and the method which is called math.random. But we know that we have just understood that this math.random is going to generate a number that falls between 0 to 0.99. Okay, if this is giving the number in between 0 to 0.99, I want to add some logic to ensure that it is giving a number between 0 to 9. How I can do that? I can just multiply with 10. I can completely utilize this logic, and it is going to give a number between 0 to 0.99. I can just multiply that with 10. Okay, the minimum number will be 0 because 0 gets multiplied by 10. Number itself is 0. Minimum number is always 0. We know the minimum number. Minimum number is going to be all 0. Maximum number is going to be what? 0.99 into 10 is going to be what? 9.9. So no, maximum number is going to be 9.9. But again, I want to do the typecasting. Okay, this is going to give us the values, the floating point values. I do not want the floating point values. I want the pure integer values. Right? So in order to get the pure integer values, okay, I will typecast this complete operation with the int operator. I will use the cast operator and I will typecast this logic with int. So problem will be resolved. So if I invoke this logic, a number will be given to me that falls between what? 0 to 9. It could be anything. It could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7, it could be 8, something like that. Right? So let us see the logic first. Okay, now let me take a supplier. The supplier is going to give a number, right? It's going to give a random number. Okay, now we will try to consider the number in the form of string. Let us say the supplier is giving a string, and the string is nothing but the number itself. Okay, it will not take any input, it will not consume any input, so the parentheses are going to be empty always. Right? So this is the arrow operator for the lambda expression, and this is the body of the lambda expression. Perfect. After this, I want to generate one random number. Okay, I want to initialize a string with 0. String OTP equal to empty. First, I am taking a OTP variable, and this OTP variable I am assigning the empty string with this OTP variable. Okay, after this, I am using the for loop. Inside the for loop, I want to ensure that this for loop is getting run for how many times? For 6 times. Okay, after having this for loop to be run for 6 number of times, what I can do it here is I can use this OTP variable, right? And I can perform a mathematical operation here. OTP variable is OTP plus I can use the logic math.random, okay, multiplied by 10, okay, and the value that we are getting is typecasted to what? Integer. Okay, now if you just imagine this for loop is written to get executed to get run for 6 number of times. So I equal to 0, I is lesser than 6. It means it will run for 6 times. Each and every time a random number will be generated. First time, let's say 3, the second time 5, third time 9, fourth time 1 or 2, something like that, fifth time 1, sixth time 0. All these random numbers are getting concatenated to give a perfect OTP, and it will be displayed in the console. This value will be stored inside this OTP variable, and you can see that variable. Right? So after doing all this, I want to return OTP itself. Then this is the processing logic. Right? It's just supplying us the OTP, and it's our responsibility to ensure that the processing logic is perfectly written. Now after this, what I can do is I can use the get method. So logic is written. In order to invoke this logic, you need to use that. You need to call that abstract method inside the supplier, which is what? The get method. Right? Inside the get method, to display the message meaningfully, I can use what? The OTP for your transaction. Transaction is something like the number that is generated by the supplier. The OTP for your transaction is 039104. You can use this to perform the transaction. And again, I give the OTP, a different OTP, right? And again, third time, different OTP. Fourth time, a different OTP you are getting. Right? Just take you can practice these things for one time. You will get this thing very easily. The idea here is you are just using this inbuilt class and the method to get a random number, and since you want to have that number falling between 0 to 9, you're multiplying this with 10 and you're typecasting it to integer, so that the number will be ideally an integer number, and you're repeating these steps for 6 number of times by using the for loop, so that 6 digits will be generated. You're repeating this for 7 times, the OTP of 7 number will be generated. If you're repeating this for 4 times, sometimes there are 4-digit OTP number. If you know, like if you try to add the what we call it as some websites, it will allow you to enter the 4-digit OTPs. Right? This is giving 3-digit because I have given it 4-digit OTPs. The 4-digit OTP number. Depends. You can increase the OTP number, you can decrease it, or depends upon the requirement. Okay. And one more program to understand this completely, and this time I have a different requirement. My requirement is logic is going to be very easy, but the question is going to be little difficult. Try to grasp what I'm trying to say. I want to write a program using supplier to do what? To get random password. So when I say random password, the requirements varies from one application to the other application. But I have my own application. Okay, my application says, let me take the new print screen. So I have my new application. So my application, I want to generate a random password to the user. Okay, and I have the requirements are like, my first requirement, okay, the length should be 8 characters. The password should not exceed more than 8 characters. Second requirement is ideally the placeholders, the second placeholder, fourth placeholder, sixth placeholder, eighth placeholder should have only digits, have only numbers or digits, have only what? digits. So when I say this, just try to imagine. First requirement. If I have a password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The length of the password should be in how many characters? Should be something like 8 characters. Right? The second requirement is the placeholder. So this is the second placeholder, right? Second placeholder, fourth placeholder, sixth placeholder, and the eighth placeholder. They should be numbers only. My second requirement, and I have the another requirement, my third requirement. Okay, focus here. It will develop you some insights, guys. Try to focus here. My third requirement is the placeholder 1, 3, 5, 7 should have uppercase alphabets, or I can use symbols like @ symbol or asterisk symbol or the dollar symbol. Okay, so these placeholders, the first 1, 3, 5, 7, they should have either alphabets or these 3 special characters. How I can build a logic for this? Typically, how I can build a logic for this? Very simple, very simple. Don't think much about this. Okay, I will ensure that you are getting the best. Okay, let me remove all this. Try to focus. Okay, this is going to be very easy thing. You do not have to, you have to think something, but the program from the programmatic level, these things are going to be very, very easy. To make some space. Okay, program to generate random password. So how can we generate a random password? Firstly, what we have to do it here, we need to write a supplier. Okay. So I am initializing a variable as pwd. The password is empty beginning. In the beginning, the password is empty. It's my duty to write a supplier. Okay, I want to write how many suppliers? I want to write a supplier, something like this. Okay, let me remove this. Supplier. My supplier is going to supply the password in the form of string. Right? Yes equal to. Okay, supplier will not accept any input. So this is empty, followed by the arrow token, followed by the body of the lambda expression. Okay, after these things, okay, I am just initializing a variable of string type. Okay, the variable name is pwd, which is an acronym for password. Okay, and I am keeping the password as empty. Okay. After this, I am writing a supplier, another supplier with the supplier. My supplier, this supplier is going to generate some random number. It is going to generate what? It is going to generate some random number, because if you go back and see the requirement, actual requirement, what is the actual requirement? I want to have the numbers in the second placeholder, fourth placeholder, sixth placeholder, the eighth placeholder. For that, I want to generate a random number. So in order to generate a random number, I want to write a supplier for that, isn't it? I'm writing that supplier for this to generate the random number. So this is going to generate a random number. To generate a random number, we know what? There is a math.random, right? So random number should be between 0 to 10. So I am multiplying this this random number with 10, and I need to perform the typecasting integer, because it is going to give us a floating value. I'm converting that to integer. Done. So this supplier will give me the random number, first supplier. Okay, my second requirement. Go and see my second requirement. Okay, so I mean the second requirement is the third requirement. I should have this first placeholder. Okay, first 1, 3, 5, 7 should have either uppercase alphabets or these 3 symbols. Okay, in order to get that, I am typically going to write something like, I'm taking a string str. So I'm going to store all the alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Along with that, I want to have 3 characters, @ and the dollar symbol. Okay, there are 26 alphabets, and along with these 3 characters, okay, totally there are 29 characters here. Simply 29 characters I have. Okay, and I want to extract the random alphabets or the random symbols from this str. For that, I am writing another supplier this supplier is going to extract one character. Okay, and the name of the supplier is going to be C. Okay, the lambda expression. Okay, so I'm copying these things, I'm pasting it over here, but this will get multiplied by 28. Why 28? If you see, the indexing will start from 0 and it will end at 28. Right? Okay, I allow to take it as not 28, 29. Okay, indexing will start from 0 and it will end at 28. If I multiply that with 29, the maximum number will be 28. The minimum number it is going to get generated is 0. It's simple max. Okay, after doing all these things, okay, why it is giving, okay. Okay, after doing these things, it is going to return we need to extract a character, isn't it? So I'm using this variable str dot character at. Done. Okay, so this str dot character at method will extract one character because this is going to give the index number. The index number could be randomly generated, something like in between 0 to 29, something it could be like 4, 5 it could generate. Okay, this character at, okay, this 5 number will be the index number for this character at method, and the character fifth character will get extracted. I mean 0 to, the character on top of this specific index will get extracted. 5 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, F will get extracted. This is such a logic. Right? Character is a method which is going to extract the character from the given string. Okay, how the character will be extracted? It will accept an index number. Index number is getting generated randomly. That random character will be generated. Okay, if you invoke this, one character will be generated by the supplier. Okay, two things are one. Okay, the third thing, if you go back and see the third requirement, and the main requirement is what? My password should be of length 8 characters, isn't it? Okay, now to achieve that, I am running a for loop. Okay, this for loop will run from the index I equal to 1. Okay, I is lesser than or equal to 8 because I want 8 characters, isn't it? 8 random password. A random password with 8 characters. Running a for loop for 8 times. Okay, so now you see, now you think the logic. Okay, the even sets, so the even numbers are going to have what? The even numbers are going to have only digits, right? So I am creating a condition. If I is lesser than I percentage of 2 double equal to 0. If I is even, PWD equal to, PWD is already written, right? PWD plus IN dot get. Okay, in the all the even places, a number will be placed because IN dot get will generate a random number between 0 to 9. At any point of time in the even placeholders, okay, go back and see, in this placeholder only numbers will be placed. It will ensure that only numbers are getting placed here randomly. I am writing some numbers here, but don't think about this number. This will get generated randomly. So this if condition will take care of that. This if condition will take care of. If not, okay, if not, I want to place what? I want to place the characters, any character randomly. For that, PWD plus, okay, C dot, C is the supplier, right? Variable supplier variable name. C dot, done. This is the logic. Okay, and after this I want to do what? I want to return the PWD. I want to supply what? I want to supply the PWD. Right, let me concise this code for the better visibility. Okay, so now I have written a logic. I have placed some suppliers inside the suppliers and a random password will be generated. And if I run this code, the random password that you can use for this, for your application. Application is what? Okay, the main supplier s dot get s dot, that's it. Run this code, you should get a random password that is fulfilling the requirement. See, this is the random password. Is that okay? The odd placeholders are always alphabets, don't you see? Uppercase alphabets are the what we call special characters. The even placeholders are always the numbers. Is satisfying the requirement, actual requirement. Okay, the result is as expected. If I run this for the second time, look at the random password. I keep running this in the loop. Look at the random password, keeps getting changed. Okay, you can use this random password to get authenticated to your application. You can, if you have such requirement in the future, simply you can write this logic. Okay, I'm just trying to help you with the actual use cases of the supplier. Very good code, isn't it? Let me give this code. Just take the pen and paper and try to do what? Try to trace the program by yourself. You will get these things very easily. These things are very important and it looks complicated, but trust me, these are very, very easy when compared with Java. Sir. Everyone are expecting to write the code by using the Java 8. Okay, you will not get this anywhere, trust me. Okay, so try to understand. Okay, so now we have already completed what? We have completed predicate. We know what is predicate now, and we know what is function. We know what is consumer, and we also know what is supplier. Okay, and predicate is going to what? It will accept one data, but its return type is always boolean. Okay, function will return type, input type can be anything. Return type can also be anything. Okay, consumer will consume some input, but it will not return anything. Okay, it will consume some input type, but it will not return anything. That is how the consumer is designed. Consumes input, but it will not return anything. Supplier, it will not consume anything, but it will supply the return type. Supplies. Supplies return. Right, and so what typically apart from this you have abstract method. Okay, you have the test method for the predicate, and you have what? One minute, I am confused with the methods. Okay, you have the apply method for the function, you have accept method for the consumer, and you have what? You have get method for the supplier. These are the abstract methods, and the default methods, you have or method, right? You have what? And method, and you have the negate method. Okay, and for the function, the default methods are what? The default methods are what are the default methods we have? And then method is there, and you have the compose method, if you remember. Right, compose method. These are the two default methods that you have for the function. And for the consumer, what is the default method? And then is the default method. Fortunately, you don't have any default method for the supplier. Right? And the static method, is equal method is there. Is equal method is a static method for the predicate, and over the function, inside the function, you have the identity method. Right? And for the consumer and for the supplier, there are no such static methods. Right, just remember this, right? And what? So it's just the table. Okay. Okay, consumer or return type is always boolean. It will accept any input, but return type is always boolean. Function, it will accept anything as an input, it will return anything as an output. Consumer will consume the input. Okay, it will consume the input, but it will not return anything. It will not consume any. Supplier will not consume anything, but it will supply the return type. Right, these are the what? These are the abstract methods that you want to focus on. Just remember this, that's it for the interview. And these are the default methods, and for this there are no default methods, so this is no need to worry about that. And these are what? These are the static methods. Very, very important interfaces you can expect a lot of questions from these four interfaces. And if you get good picture about these interfaces, stream APIs are going to be very, very easy. Okay, the future topic, stream APIs. Right. So that's all from my side for the day. You can wind up for the day. We will meet tomorrow.